I'm Pacific. You know how it is. We got 30 seconds to start this show. Bringing on some gentlemen that I think you'll be interested to know. They have some bones to pick with me, and also we want to have a fruitful dialogue at the same time. I'm going to let them introduce themselves here in just a second, but they represent the Nazarene Hebrew Institution of Technology, NHIT. And you're going to meet Yashia and Barawak in just a second. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Street Apologists Live. All right, let's get underway. Well, gentlemen, welcome to the program. Let me give you a round of applause. As a guest, there we go. We have Barawak and Yashia from the Nazarene Hebrew Institution of Technology. I will let you introduce yourselves and tell the audience about NHIT.
Go ahead, Yashia.
I'm Yashia. I'm the captain of the temple. I guess you would consider me the instructor. We put together the teachings, and we service the people. I service the people, the community. Do you have any specific nodes that you want to be made aware of?
You guys are in Virginia, correct?
We all over the place.
Okay.
Chicago, Virginia, Detroit, Michigan, North Carolina. This particular community.
If people want to reach you or find you, do you have any way online or anything they can get a hold of you?
Yes, we have a YouTube channel as well that we just created. It's Nazarene Hebrew Institute of Technology. We're just getting started. We're a brand new community. We're just getting started. Like he said, we're all over the place. I'm in Virginia. We plan on hopefully buying property here in Virginia for ministry. But currently we're on Zoom, and we have live Zoom services on YouTube. Monday, 8 p.m. is a Q&A. Tuesday, 8 p.m. is a women's group. And Friday and Saturday, Friday, 8 p.m. Shabbat and 2:30 p.m. Shabbat, we are live as well. And all those
on Saturday.
On Saturday, 2:30 in the afternoon, I'm sorry, is our Shabbat service live on YouTube as well via Zoom. Okay, so we're just getting started, and we're fairly new.
All right. Excellent.
As a group, not as a practice.
Just as a group, yes.
What do you say?
Been in practice for decades. He said not as a practice, but as a group. We've been in the truth for decades. Yes.
Okay. Yashi, I don't know if you have a volume you could turn up just a little bit. I got you up as loud as I can, or maybe a little closer to the microphone. You're a little quiet.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
That better?
Works. Yeah, we may have to do it that way if you can. Yes. Okay. So, what do you guys want to talk to the people about, or talk to me about? I'll give the audience a brief background. Barawak reached out to me. Was it on Facebook? I think it was on Facebook, and said, "Hey, I have some questions for you, and I'd like to show you something." And so he sent me a brief video. It was 11 minutes. I did end up watching it the second time he sent it, of course, and just kind of as an introduction to some of their beliefs and things that they don't believe. And you and I had maybe a 20, 30-minute conversation on the phone, and then you said you wanted to talk about some things live and as well, and I said okay, and so we worked out a time, and now here we are.
Yes, sir. So one of the questions I wanted to ask, like I had told you in the past, I kind of felt like the perception I had of you, I thought you were racist. Remember, I told you that, and the reason why I perceived that was because of the way that when you do go in and you do these videos on the Hebrews, it seems like you lump us all in one under one umbrella. And so a lot of the doctrines that they have, we don't agree with it. We don't subscribe to it at all. and some of the things that I heard you say when you speak in reference to certain camps or whatever, you kind of seems like you kind of like put everybody in that same group, and I think that's not very good because we all don't have the same doctrine, you know. And I think when you should be more specific when you do mention these camps or whatever, because for instance, for example, Divine Prospect, I heard you mention his name is Zion Lex. Those two brothers we stand behind very well. We're not part of their community, but we stand behind those two, and they don't have camp doctrines. And you know, I know you and Zion been going back and forth with videos, and uh, but I know that they don't subscribe to a lot of these camp doctrines. So I just think when you speak, it gives us a fair chance that you speak specifically about who you're talking about. Because when we meet people on the streets, and the first thing the person said, "Oh, you're Hebrew Israelite, you're camp. You got people kissing your feet. You got people doing this." You know how those doctrines go. So you know, I think you should be more specific. So that was one of the questions I wanted to ask. Was the direct question is do you uh, why do you do that?
My
You lump
view
us
is that
all together.
so you guys feel like I lump Hebrew Israelites together. I feel like I almost always say names. In fact, that's one reason why I get in trouble. I'm almost always explicit and specific. And in fact, I think the term One West, as far as non-Hebrew Israelites using it, became known primarily because I started using it to designate a certain kind of Hebrew Israelite. And so people weren't really, except for UPK and maybe some of the old timers, most people were not bandying about the term One West. Now, if you go on the apologetics internet, as far as Hebrew Israelites and Christians are concerned, One West is somewhat known, and I specifically put it out there. And in fact, you know, my little book on Hebrew Israelism, there's a chart little section, and I have little categories and different descriptions of what folks believe. And you see that they're not all lumped together. And even in that book, I talk about non-camp Hebrew Israelites, like Israel of God, whom I complimented. And we used to use the term moderates, but then some of the moderates some of the moderates wanted the term moderate, but then some of the other guys didn't. So they got upset and didn't like the term moderate. So we tend not to, at least I tend not to use that term anymore. But I'll sometimes say non-camp Israelite or something like that. But I guess what I would say back to you is I don't agree that I do that. I think I'm more careful than any Christian apologist out there, because I think even though I'm still learning, I think I understand the differences between the groups and leaders better than most Christian apologists. And as a little shot back at y'all, I do better than most Hebrew Israelites when they talk about Christians. Hebrew Israelites are really bad about lumping all Christians together. They often don't understand the difference between denominations. A lot of Hebrew Israelites I met thought apologetics was a denomination of Christianity, when it's a practice, it's an art and a science, it's not a denomination. And so I find that a lot of Hebrew Israelites will say those Sunday Christians, those Roman Christians. And as a Protestant, the appellation of being a Roman Christian, when our theological forebears died being persecuted and sometimes against Roman machinations, especially in extreme counter-reformation tactics, we find it utterly ludicrous to be lumped in with Roman Christianity. So I would say, unless you have examples, I hear what you're saying, but I don't agree. In fact, when I did the boot kissing video, because I have done a couple of videos, I specify who I'm talking about, and it's mainly ISUPK and Sakari. Not even the camps out on the street do much boot kissing. You hardly ever see IUIC do it. You'll see old GMS rarely. It's mainly two groups now. Well, there's spin-offs of those groups now who are imitating them, but those are the two most well known. Like there's some camps down in Florida and Georgia who are into boot kissing, but they're kind of like Sakari copycats. But so I don't really agree. If you had some specifics, because I almost always name names.
Okay,
Yeah,
so hold on.
go ahead, Yashia. Go ahead.
Why don't we speak about our differences with these camps? Because I understand what he's saying now. He's been lumped into something that is unfair, I believe we have as well. So he's given us an explanation of apologetics and the different denominations that I'm familiar with, nearly all of them. So I get what he's saying. So let's talk about the this Nazarene worship that we
Okay.
practice.
Okay.
So you now have a group of Hebrew Israelites that stands firmly with hand in hand with any Christian and any other believer that believes in the doctrine of 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
The gospel.
Had a Messiah, yes, the true gospel. Had a Messiah die for us according to the scriptures, how he was buried, and how according to the scriptures he rose the third day. We're
Amen.
going to toss some John 10:30 in there, how he and the Father are one. We're going to toss some John 14:6 in there, how he's the way, the
The
truth,
truth, the
and the
life.
life. And it's only one way. It's not many different ways. So we have that in agreement. Now we're going to implement the worship of the book of Acts into that ideology and that walk, and here you have us. You have a group that stands by Acts 21:20, Isaiah 8:16 and 20, and Revelations 14:12. And we can give you 3 witnesses for that. We believe that our salvation is obtained through those beliefs that I told you, and that the accommodating or following works are how you are justified. That's what our walk is. That's what the Savior taught, and that's what is seen being moved out in under grace in the New Testament. Uh, we have problems with things that we cannot locate in Scripture.
Okay.
We condemn that. Those the boot kissing and all of that. It's not what we about. We don't agree with that at all. We don't agree with you cannot be saved unless you're an Hebrew Israelite. That is not accurate. That's not true, and I or nor anybody else in the community that I'm a part of believes like that, or do they move like that. We believe that if you believe 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4, you are saved. Period. And
Amen.
you can be a Martian. Okay. Uh, our issue is with Christmas. Our issue is with Easter. Our Easter is with Sundays, the Sabbath, and things that we cannot locate in Scripture that came after the book of Revelations. And that's not just condemning certain aspects of Sunday worship. That's condemning any way that is being promoted as a truth that is not coming forth with the Messiah as the lead character. Okay, and any observations or anything coming after the book of Revelations that we can't find in our scriptures. So we try to abide by the word. We're going to abide by the word and the word itself, and that's where we stand. Um, I've told Bear Walk, I've taught them and I've shown them uh, that the worship for New Testament when it's and the New Testament in general, when read properly, you won't find any contradictions in the scripture from Genesis through Revelations. When you go
Amen.
back and you utilize your study materials, your concordances, and your this or that, and you view the scriptures through the lens of the people that wrote the scriptures, I think that's key. I've heard the uh, argument that the New Testament was written in Greek, but I don't think anybody really believes that. There's studies, it's a big study of manuscripts and things, especially when you read Acts. But that even that being said, even if it was, uh, I think that when you read the scriptures, the Bible shouldn't be broken down into 2 testaments in terms of your worship. We know that it's 2 testaments because after the Messiah, we know that we didn't need a priest anymore to go to the Father. We go through him to get to the Father. We understand that. But we're saying what happened to the worship that the churches are now permeating things that we can't find in Scripture. So that's what our issue is. And uh, we've summed that portion of this up. Now I want to speak on the other portion that I didn't, because I viewed one of the videos, and the gentleman that was on the video with you, it's seeming like I don't recall his name, but he was mocking Hebrew Israelites. The fact that to the claim that they're actually the children of Israel. And I asked, I gave a teaching on it called Beyond the Rivers of Ethiopia. And I had one question that I don't think nobody's ever been able to answer is when in any historical documents, any oral history, any archaeological findings, anything, can we find the people that are over in our homeland right now that are in power, where it is recorded that they were beyond the rivers of Ethiopia? And we cannot unless it's been some new findings or information come out. Now, on the contrasting side of that, the entire history of the civilized world has gave a record, both written and oral and archaeological findings, that the a certain ethnic group out of the people that are melanin positive, that they are in fact the people of the book. We've got a lot of DNA findings, books, and things that we've read. We've got migration patterns, migrations. We got a plethora of things. We got the slave manifest, the cargo manifest, what the captains of the ship said, what the historians did, both ancient and during the Middle Ages, to cement the truth that we are in fact the people of the book. And all I say is that our people that are practicing the various religions, that they should become aware of that fact, and they should embrace it. And it's not a threat to them practicing Christianity or them practicing any other way that they want to practice, because Hebrew Israelite simply denotes a person's ethnicity, his I don't want to say race because it's one race, but his group, his physical family, genetically. That's all that says. That's not in any shape, form, or fashion of religion, because the majority of the Sunday church over here in America that's practicing Christianity, they're Hebrew Israelites. The majority of Islam over here in the United States of America, those are Hebrew Israelites that are practicing Islam. We've got some of us that are practicing Catholicism. To that we say each his own, but I think that when you study your ancient worship and things like that, and you take back your identity, your history, your language, and your culture, I think that you would gravitate to the teaching that is being put out by the Nazarene Hebrew Temple and Institute of Technology, because at its base, it is nothing but how Christians practiced when Christianity was implemented. Now, the changes came later to Christianity from everything that we researched and read. And believe me, we do so with a fair hand and an open mind. So that's what you got from us. Now, I don't know if Barry Wack has anything else, but if any questions come, we'll take them.
Yeah. Well, Vocab, did you want to say something? Because I don't want to be barraging you with everything. If you got anything you wanted to ask us again.
Well, I'd be curious. Someone in the live chat was asking a question about a phrase used. It says, "For the record, every human on the planet is melanin positive, excluding albinos." Isn't it the case that everyone has melanin? In fact, even non-human creatures like skunks have melanin. That's how they get the color of their fur.
Well, we call it melanin superior, which would be dark. Very dark.
Melanin superior, huh?
No, we got terms for everything. Some of them are scientific.
I think that might be the definition of a racial supremacist.
Oh no, not at all.
Vocab.
At all.
Vocab, you know. Now hold on. Let me just say this, Vocab. You know. As far as melanin, now this is a fact. Now, if I'm wrong, somebody fact check me. The African Americans, so-called African Americans, have more melanin than Caucasian. Is that not true?
Most, not all.
Right. So that's what Yashia is alluding to when he says melanin. Yeah, everybody does have melanin.
Yeah, but
I believe.
What if I use the phrase melanin inferior? Would you guys think that would be a good phrase to use?
Well, I've actually heard that, but maybe I
wouldn't
should
use
say,
it. But you use
No,
Melan and Superior.
let me rephrase that vocab because I don't want to offend anybody, and I definitely didn't mean to offend anybody. People of so-called African descent. Let's use that. We'll put that in place of melanin, okay?
Sure.
So-called African, I said, because we are not indigenous to Africa at all.
Do you believe that on the continent of Africa there is an admixture of people that you consider Semitic and people that you consider Hamitic?
That's what the people in Africa are saying. They've been saying it for a lot of years. They call us Ajam, they call us Kawaaga, they call us Limba in places. It means foreigner from the east. What's east of Africa? And as you know and I know, America is west of Africa. So yeah, it's a very huge mix of admixture of Semitic people in Africa.
So would you say mainly people who were not taken away in the transatlantic slave trade, those would be Hamites, and those taken mainly are Semites?
Mainly, I think the vast majority, even according to the testimony of some of the kings over in Africa, like the king of Dahomey, the king of Bassa Mahata, the king of Ghana, he just recently made a statement that we shouldn't have turned those people over to the slave traders, and we got land for them, they can come back. 2019 AD, he's made this statement.
Yeah, he's trying to get people in Ghana.
Well, he told us we can come back.
Yeah.
They got land in an apologetic way. I get it.
Well,
we got books,
ancient
manuscripts.
So whenever I hear people say that, I always try to think of a real life scenario and how it would apply. So I picture, let's say maybe, we know it's fictional, but it's based upon a lot of things that aren't fictional, like the scene in Roots. Where young Kunta Kinte, I
don't understand what's fictional.
No. The movie is dramatized, is what I'm saying. Roots, the miniseries, is dramatized. I'm talking about the original Roots now. It's dramatized, but we know a lot of it's based upon nonfiction. So,
right.
Young Kunta Kinte, he goes out and they throw a net on him and drag him away, and then he's with.
That's in the scriptures.
No, I know. I'm getting somewhere with it. So. Okay. So now he's with a bunch of other people, some of who would be his kinsmen, some who would be, he doesn't know their language, he's never seen before, some would even be enemies. And his father is wondering, where is Kunta? His mother's wondering, where is Kunta, right? He goes and he ends up in the shores of what, be called the United States of America, and then produces offspring, right? But here's the thing. His mother and father are left on the continent. He comes to America. Right. The scenario that I often hear a lot of Hebrew Israelites give always troubles me in regards to the transatlantic slave trade, because I think about the practical real life element of families weren't taken together. So that means Kunta is taken, but the rest of his family's not. And that's not even just his father. What about his relatives? They're not all taken, maybe some. It doesn't make sense to me how some are taken, some are left. And then we say, well, if you were taken, most likely you're an Israelite. And if you weren't taken, most likely you're not an Israelite. Do you see how the real life scenario of me trying to wrap my head around that theory has always created big problems? Because I don't see how Kunta Kinte's father in this scenario would not be a Hebrew Israelite, but yet he did not fulfill Deuteronomy 28:68.
Well, see, this is where you need to proper research should probably be done on your end regarding the slavery. First, it is a well-known fact, it's recorded, that the slave traders, when they purchased and did the deals with the African tribesmen, that the elders and things were basically annihilated. They weren't left behind. They was basically annihilated. That is a very well-known fact. Secondly...
Well, hold on. You're saying that, so all of Kunta's male ancestors are all destroyed?
No, we're saying the elders to disassociate or disconnect you from the history. This was... slavery in Africa is different than slavery everywhere else. It was much more brutal.
But I gave a specific example of Kunta Kinte. His father was left.
Well, that's an example now. I'm dealing with real life. I'm dealing with.
But in real life,
now.
that stuff happened, though. Your scenario of where all the other male members of his whole tribe are wiped out is not what happened.
There's basically no examples to what you said, no recorded written examples to what you just said.
Yes, there are. Equiano. There's lots of examples of where the son is taken away. Samuel Morris. I'm just thinking of these off the top of my head. Sir, you are not, that's not correct. There are lots of examples of what I said. Samuel Morris and Equiano are two off the top of my head.
Now, listen, I don't think that you're listening to what I'm saying, or maybe I didn't come across clearly. They killed the elders. I know that families were broken up. Families were destroyed. We understand that. We know that they took women. We know that they separated children from the parents. We know about all of that. That's not the issue that we're saying. We're saying that you can have a tribe like this. The Babanki Tika tribe. They're in Cameroon. They claim Israelite descent for a very long time, over 3,000 years. You got the Gafat tribe in Ethiopia. They claim Israelite descent for a very long time. You've got the Igbo people over in Western Africa. I'm sure you're familiar with them. You got the Amara tribe in Ethiopia. They all claim Israelite descent, yet they speak different dialects in Africa because of the persecutions that we were suffering as a people. Not only from what everyone considers to be the menace from the North or the European, but from the people in Africa, the indigenous Africans and the Arabs. So you understand why people are hiding and they're claiming these made-up names of these African tribes instead of their true nativity. They were being slaughtered over there. And it's been going on for a very long time. And they were forced conversion to your religion on the right side, which is Christianity, and your religion on the left side, which is Islam. Okay, it's a known fact.
Yashi, I don't think that answers what I was saying, because I'm thinking about the real history of what happened. So I gave the example of Kuta Kinte, but let me give you an example of something not from a fictional TV show, which has historical elements in it. Equiano, his father was an Igbo chief. He was born in 1745 in southern Nigeria. He was captured at 11 years old.
Right, I read the book.
Okay.
Go ahead.
There's no record about his whole family being destroyed or killed or all the elders. That's not that there's no record that that's what happened to everyone related to him. But he was taken. But his family would have to be Israelites according to your reckoning. And I'm asking you, what do you do about the people left on the continent related to the ones who were taken? You can't. Are you seriously proposing all of them were killed? Every single person who was left was killed?
We didn't say that. We didn't say
what's your position?
We're telling you that the majority, it was a vast majority of elders that was annihilated. Elders, I'm saying.
Well,
they
his
kept
father
the
was
young
an Igbo
people
chief.
And the women and children. That's right. We're not condemning.
Okay, but so
we saying that
Equiano had a mother, he had a father. They were not taken.
Right.
Those would be Hebrew Israelites if they produced a Hebrew Israelite child, correct?
And they still over there. That's how. That's why so many Hebrew Israelites.
Then you can't say Black Americans are Hebrew Israelites and Africans aren't.
Vocab. Everybody was not taken.
I know. That's my point.
No, we're not saying everybody
now
was
we understand what you're saying.
My point is everyone was not taken. So here's the thing. You guys can't really make any kind of valid argument about who's an Israelite here, who's an Israelite there. You literally have no clue.
Oh, no. We got a clue. That's what we're telling you. The Africans, the people, the Israelites, because the Israelites that remain behind, they're telling you what tribes they come from and everything. Now, we got the same blood pattern groups. The same way that a person out of Germany knows that he's a German is the same way that we know we're Hebrew Israelites.
Wait, did you say the same blood pattern groups?
Blood pattern group. Yeah.
Okay, well,
it's called E1B1A.
Right, but only about 70% of Black Americans are under the haplogroup E1B1A.
Right.
So that means 30% of the people you see and you tell they're Hebrew Israelite, they're not Hebrew Israelites. One out of...
No, listen, okay. Because you can only trace the father's DNA that way. Now you got to go to the M2 DNA to trace the mother. the maternal DNA. It's two different ways. And everybody over here has got the M2 or M1 DNA. Every person over here in America that came over here descended through slaves. It's not one of us that doesn't. And it's still real prevalent over in Africa right now.
But that's
I got
not
a few sources for you if you want to look up that.
But haplogroups, we're talking about we got to know paternal and maternal.
I know what a haplogroup is.
But it only matters with paternal, right? For y'all.
We're using the mother now because you cannot breed out the mother's DNA. So that's the info. You can't. Are
you saying you go by the maternal line, not the paternal line?
No, I'm telling you that will show you that you have Hebrew Israelite blood if you're a Black American. If your father has been invaded by a foreign male presence, say if one of your ancestors was raped by somebody out of Ireland or England, which we know occurred, then that would have cut off that bloodline. And the only way that you would be able to trace your paternal DNA, you'd have to go through your mother to find out if you still had Israelite DNA in you.
Okay,
you understand that?
Okay, so, but back to this. I'm trying to give a real life scenario. There's a man who became known as Samuel Morris. His name when he was born was Prince Kabu. He was born in what is now Liberia. He was a son of a KRU tribal chieftain. There was constant war between them and this other tribe. This other tribe was stronger than them militarily, intended to raid them. This neighboring tribe took him captive, and because they knew who he was, and they tried to get the father to pay a ransom, but he didn't have it. So eventually he made his way to America, and it's a long story how he got here, but he was not taken on a slave ship. He was taken on a ship, obviously, but his story is not through a slave ship, and yet he did end up in America. And this is he was born in 1872, died in 1893. He died pretty young. But Samuel Morris came over here through another means, but it was through a ship. So as Samuel Morris, an Israelite, the son of a Kru tribal chieftain, came on a ship, but it wasn't a slave ship. He did it to escape captivity in what became known as Liberia. Is he a Hebrew Israelite or not? If he had any descendants, would they be Israelites?
He would have to fit the other qualifications that's all throughout the Bible, like Deuteronomy and Genesis and Acts. We rely on not just DNA, but we rely on the spiritual aspects that's been recorded as well. But I do want to say this, that Mr. Morrison, while his family would have been left behind, it does say that we was going to be taken in groves. So I don't know if he was kidnapped by some of the pirates or not.
No. He was kidnapped by a fellow tribe, but then he escaped their I read his biography. They even made a cartoon about him. He escaped captivity from this warring tribe and ended up going with missionaries, and over a long period of time ended up being able to get in a boat and came to America and actually went to college. There's statues of him at modern colleges. But my point by bringing up him is
1872.
He was born in 1872.
Okay, when did he come over to America?
When he was a young man, so he didn't come. See, he didn't come as a slave. That's what I was saying.
That's what I said. Slavery
but he did come on a boat to America.
If he came after 1872, slavery was already over with.
In America, yes.
Yeah, in America, that's what I'm saying.
But we still have oppression. But here's my point about it: is not that it's that he came on a boat or a ship from Africa to America. So would he be an Israelite? And remember how he got in the situation? He was taken captive during a war and then ended up in a place he wouldn't know.
We don't know. I mean, that's an exception. He could be a Hebrew Israelite. We can't say whether he is or isn't, because
the chances of that is probably null and on, because it says we was going to be afflicted. The story
he was
explicitly
whipped.
Says
they whipped him with poisonous vines to the point of almost to death. No, the fellow tribe in Liberia. They whipped him with poisonous vines to where he almost died. This fellow tribe that raided the crew.
So you got to understand, Mr. Malone, that those tribes over there, you may have one ethnic tribe, but it may have Israelites scattered throughout. Like you got Fulani. Some of the Fulani are mixed Israelites, mixed Ham and Shem. And that's a known fact. That's in their history for a very long time. So they could be fighting another ethnic Fulani tribe that's fully Ham, and people are getting turned over. Was getting turned over like that. We got a lot of records from the slave manifests and things like that that record this from the slave masters. They recorded that. Oh, we found this group of because they called us Moors at one time. These African people, but they weren't living like the rest of the Africans. They were more civilized. They kept the Sabbath. They had ministration huts. They wasn't eating pork, so they knew the difference.
The Moors,
And I got an
they were
article
mainly
with you.
Muslims.
Huh?
The Moors were mainly Muslims.
No, what I'm telling you is the European didn't have knowledge of the continent when they came over raiding and kidnapping us. Not of a full-blown knowledge. They just thought that all of us was the same, basically. Maybe a few different tribes. So they basically referenced everybody as Moors at one time. You look, when you study the history,
No,
the
that's
old
not
history.
that. So that's
No,
not
that's
really true. So see, I've read
What?
early accounts by missionaries to Africa. And
No. I'm talking pre-missionary vocab.
Well, but see, there was a certain level of knowledge, and they did, and even the slave traders knew enough to do things like, we're going to separate this person from this person because they didn't want anybody to be able to communicate with each other who was from the same. And I'm not saying they were experts on who was who. I'm just saying they weren't calling everyone on the continent of Africa Moors. And Moors, the actual Moors were mainly Muslims, and they were in like Morocco.
No, you gotta please listen. There's books that are written from Ghana to Cape Castle. It explains that the Moors were in Western Africa. It explains that amongst the European people that came over to Africa, they were very ignorant of the indigenous people and the people that were colored that they believed to be indigenous at one time. It took cooperation from a lot of the tribes that was working with them before they got a better understanding that these were a bunch of different ethnic groups, that all of the people over there that were colored were not actually from what we would consider mainland Africa, that some of us come across the Red Sea. So this thing is a known fact in a lot of ancient books, a lot of old writings, that we were mixed and mingled over in Africa amongst the Africans. And that's what I was prefacing to you about the teaching that we just went over, Beyond the Rivers of Ethiopia. It's no history of any Jewish, what we would call European Jews, being over in that part of the world. So when they were saying that the people, we put the Jews on the slave ships, what group of people were they talking about?
You're saying there was...
We got old books. Well, we got a lot of books that predate the 1619. We got books that predate whatever it is that y'all throw out where these things are recorded. In fact, you're familiar with the library in Mali, where the Arabs went over and tried to destroy that library, where it told you the names that the Hebrew Israelites was going under amongst the indigenous African people.
But there were Jews in Africa, especially in Morocco, Algeria, Liberia, Tunisia,
No.
Sudan,
We're not talking
Egypt.
about in not medieval times. We're talking about ancient times.
Okay.
Vocab alone. You do know.
Well, there's
the
Jews in
Moors was
Alexandria in the days of the Bible. You can say what?
Excuse me?
I
There was-
said you do know the Moors. Hold on, Yashia. You do know the Moors was in Spain and Portugal as well, right?
Oh yeah,
Vocab?
yeah. Till they removed them out.
So that's what Yashia was talking about. They weren't just; they were everywhere.
Yeah, the Moors conquered Sicily. I know about it. They conquered Sicily.
Okay.
I'm from. I have ancestors from Sicily. So yeah. Okay. Well, look, I don't want to necessarily get bogged down with the scenario. To me, it's not a hypothetical. It's a very real issue with this idea of some people are this, some people are that, and we can know. It's a very real issue that, when I think about the history and what really happened, it does not seem like a practically workable theory at all. But I see we have a difference of opinion about that. So I do want to make sure you guys get out the things you wanted to talk about that you feel are unique and stuff. So I don't want to bog you down with that. And so, I want to make sure you can cover what you feel what you need to cover.
All right. So yeah, another thing I wanted to touch bases with you about was the book that you said you read, and if I ain't mistaken, quote me if I'm wrong, right? That you didn't feel it was credible. Am I right? Is that what you had said about the book?
The specific phrase I used was it was not well sourced.
It was not well sourced. So you did cross-examine the sources that were given, because there's numerous sources in that book.
Yes. If you mean have I tracked down every source that's mentioned, no, I haven't done that. But if you mean,
well, no, you said it when you said not well sourced. What do you mean?
What I mean is a number of things. There's a number of times where Windsor, the author of From Babylon to Timbuktu, what we're talking about, to the audience, of course you know, but to the audience, there's a number of times where Windsor will make assertions without any kind of evidence at all that are far outside.
Give us an example.
Okay, I will give an example, but let me get the point out.
I'm sorry.
He'll give these things that are far outside of his field of expertise. And usually, if you're trying to write what's considered an academic book, if you're writing outside of what's known to be your area, you'll give some kind of source, some kind of evidence for it. I'm going to give one that would come from biology. This is from page 25. And look what he says here. Therefore, the leprosy that Naaman had will cleave unto you and unto your seed descendants forever. And he departed from his presence a leper as white as snow. Now listen to what Windsor says about that. This type of leprosy, doesn't say what it is, affected the reproductive organs, genes and chromosomes that determined hereditary characteristics in his body. That's a massive statement. He doesn't give any kind of, we don't know what he's talking about. Then he says this meant all his children would produce white offspring, even though he was a black man at first. This was the curse of Gehazi. I'm sorry, that is pseudoscience, and he doesn't give any source or reason why we're supposed to believe it. And that's just one example. When you make some kind of statement that big, you need to tell us why you're saying this. He's literally saying this guy got cursed with white skin, but it wasn't him, it was his offspring. So he was a black man at first, turned into a white man, and then produced white children because of leprosy that affects his organs, and he never tells us the reason he knows about this, where it's from, who agrees with this, the type of leprosy. He doesn't tell us the name. He doesn't tell us how. He doesn't say any of that. To me, this is egregious, and the book is filled with this kind of stuff. Do you think I'm off by criticizing that?
Well, that's a good. Go ahead, Yashia. Go ahead.
No, I said you entitled to your belief or your because you apparently you I get what you're saying that he didn't have the field of expertise to make that statement. That's something I wrestled with for a lot of years too. Why do we have different skin tones and things like that? I don't know.
Brother,
I don't.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Please don't jump the gun with what I'm about to ask you a hypothetical scenario. If a scholar came along and said, Cain was cursed by God and the mark that was given to him was black skin, do you think that would be offensive and maybe racist? Do you think?
They say that anyway. That's a known
exactly.
teaching.
I know they say it. So I'm not giving you a hypothetical. What's your opinion of that theory?
First, that's not accurate.
Right.
You know that.
And doesn't it seem kind of racist too?
Modern science agrees that the first human beings on Earth was Negroids. That's not an issue.
No,
I'm just
saying
been always trying to.
People that used to say Cain was cursed with black skin, or that was a mark.
That's ignorance.
Yeah.
Right.
That
but here, Windsor has white skin as a curse. And then that's okay?
So no, it's not okay. But vocab.
We didn't say that was okay.
Now, how many books of vocab we read hundreds of books, right? And we had all the time in the world in our circumstances to read a lot of books. So how many times did you think, right, that you've read books? I don't care who they from. There's something that just raises a red flag that you're saying, well, I can't believe this, even from the scholarship aspect or whatever. There's always going to be something that you just don't agree with. So for you to say the book in general is not well sourced, I've read the book too numerous times, and there are some things that I said, I may not agree with this, but majority of that book is intact. And for you to say that it's not well sourced, that's an example. But you're saying it's full of a lot
I'll
of
give you
that.
some more.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. So here we go. All right. This is on page 28. Now I'm going to show you that it's not that good, but then I'm going to show you an example of a similar mistake he makes that's worse. And so I'm going to show you the page 28. And so we pick up here and it says this: Hebrew has its origin in the Canaanite language. When Abraham came from the region of Babylon into the land of Canaan, he found the Canaanite language similar to his own language. Abraham communicated very well with the inhabitants of the new land. I don't know exactly how he really knows that, but okay. Adopted the Canaanite language, made certain modifications, and it became known as Hebrew. Now I'm gonna stop there. He literally postulated that Abraham invented Hebrew from that's a massive claim. He's saying Abraham's the inventor of Hebrew. Now, I guess hypothetically that could be true, but why does Winsor think it's true? His reasons aren't really clearly laid out. I'm going to give you one example of a reason he gives, but it's pretty shoddy. But understand, this is a huge claim. First of all, he says that you can get a leprosy. Can we still get leprosy today that'll turn black men into white men? Or is that leprosy gone? Because he was saying it was a leprosy that you get that turns black men into white men and makes them have white kids as a curse. Where's that leprosy now is what I want to know. But check this out. He just said Abraham invented Hebrew if you follow the argument. Then the next line says this: the Hebrew language was very similar to the Canaanite, says the Bible dictionary.
Well,
I'm sorry.
There is. Hold on now. There's other sources.
It says
Hold
Bible.
on, there's
now
other
look.
sources that say.
So I'm going to show you.
There's other sources that say that the language was similar.
I know, but the Bible dictionary. Do you understand why that? What Bible dictionary is he talking about?
Okay.
Well, but to give him the benefit of the doubt, I did go to the back, and in that one instance, I'm going to show you something because you see the problems here. But watch this. I'm going to show you. Where is it? Hold on. I'm going to show you.
The problem about the Bible dictionary, I don't know.
Okay. So in the back, even though he said that, he gives the entry for Canaanite in the dictionary he's talking about. So you have to go track it down. But okay, I did that, 1948.
Right.
And he says, see the word.
I was going to tell you, a lot of the sources is in the back of the book as well.
Well, that one was, but this time he doesn't do that. So it's worse. This is on page 16. Abraham was one of the fathers of the 12 tribes of Israel, and Abraham's father came from the land of Ur, the Chaldees. So when he's just quoting the Bible, he's right. All good. Now, when he starts making up stuff, I'm like, Winsor, what are you doing? When I watch this, the land of Ur of the Chaldees was located in the southern part of the Euphrates. The Chaldeans were one of many Cushite tribes. Cush means black, according to the Bible dictionary.
Now, can we actually deal with this issue now? Because it's kind of strange that you brought this up.
It's like the way he does his sources and the stuff he says. It's like that's what I mean. Like the book is not well sourced.
Quick question. You disagree that Cush were dark-skinned people?
I don't know. I don't know what any given Cushite looked like. In general, are Cush portrayed as dark-skinned people? Certainly, but I don't think we can say we know for certain any of these things about the way people look. But we do see the Egyptians portraying people that appear to be Cushites as dark-skinned people. In fact, darker than the Egyptians. I agree with that. Yes.
Well, now we gotta deal with this issue now. Hold up.
I'm talking about the way he sources the book, not necessarily the arguments. Although those other two arguments were poor arguments. He's going to tell us Abraham invented Hebrew,
actually,
and that you can get
I want to tackle this
leprosy that turns black men into white men.
Well, let's deal with this based off of the manuscripts that we have now with this leprosy issue, because I don't know if you read Hebrew. I'm pretty sure that you utilize materials so you can understand words and things, and I'm pretty sure that you perhaps studied older manuscripts than the Leningrad Codex. So,
what do you mean, like the Dead Sea Scrolls?
They got a bunch of manuscripts that's older than the Leningrad Codex, but yeah, the Dead Sea Scrolls you can use. But you can use the Pentateuch. I want to point you to Exodus 4, verse 6 and 7, because I found this very interesting. You want to put that on the screen? You brought this out. This was something that I came on here for. And maybe everybody can look this up.
Oh, yeah, no, I cover this in my book. I know this argument.
I don't know.
Here's the short version of the response. You don't know what color his skin was because the white...
That's not what I want to show you. That's not what I'm...
Because the white that it turns into is like snow. No one's skin is snow white, unless they are albino.
No, listen.
Want me to put on the screen?
That's not what I'm pointing out.
Here, I'll try to put it on the screen here. Okay, Exodus is on the screen for you.
All right, so we're going to read verse 6. All right. And it says, and Yahweh said furthermore unto him, put now your hand into your bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand, it says leprous, right? As snow, right? That word snow that they got translated snow, it says in my native tongue, it says kashalag. That means white. But watch this. And it says, and he said, put your hand into your bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned as his flesh, correct? But it's something that I want you to understand, sir. In the more ancient manuscripts that predate and precede the Leningrad Codex, that word tazarif that they use for leprous, it's not even part of the manuscript. So leprosy is not even in that verse. That was added on later. So what it says is that he was actually turned white. If I don't know if that's what Mr. Windsor used for his source material or not. I don't know, but I know what the older manuscripts say. And maybe you want to research that and you can get back to us. But,
okay, so what's an example? Which manuscripts is the word leprous missing? Do you know which ones it is?
Well, it's definitely not in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And it's definitely not in the 270 BC translation.
The Septuagint? You're saying it's not in Septuagint?
It's definitely not in the Septuagint.
Okay.
So you might want to look those up. Yeah, you bought this out. I didn't bring it out. And now also I don't know.
But wait. Can you? What's your? What are you saying?
I'm simply saying that it's not in there. I'm simply saying that the word leprous is not in there, and that the word in Hebrew that means white, it is in there. That's all I'm saying.
But what would be the point of that? Are you saying?
Because you said that Mr. Windsor acted out, and well, I don't know what his reasoning or what he relied on to say about to connect leprosy with people of Caucasian descent. I don't know, but I know that I've read that in Hebrew in some old manuscripts, and I was like, wow, who would add that word, and why won't they update it to the modern audience so they'll be aware of what that verse actually says? It actually, and there's also some more accompanying manuscripts. I don't know if you read the book of Enoch, probably chapter 104. That would be a good another good point to look at into something.
Okay,
like
here
that.
I got the Brenton Septuagint up. And now I've run into arguments like this before. I always find them interesting. I'll show you why in a second.
No, it's not an argument. I just said that it's not in there. It doesn't bother me what skin color a person is.
So
I don't care.
Here's Hebrews 4:6-7. So you're right that it's not in Septuagint. So here we go. I'm going to read it, everyone. This is in the Septuagint. This is the English translation. And the Lord said again to him, put thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom and brought his hand out of bosom, and his hand became as snow. So what you're saying in the Septuagint is correct. The leprous is not in the Septuagint. So that's true right there. Now, as far as it not being in older manuscripts, I don't know about that. We'd have to track that down because the Septuagint sometimes has different readings and renderings than the Masoretic text. But I trust the Masoretic text because it's in Hebrew, whereas the Septuagint is a translation. And the Masoretic text has decent witnesses to it, You know?
When you compare the Masoretic text to the older Hebrew, it comes up very short. I mean, wow.
Wait, when you compare it to what, though? What's older than the Masoretic text?
The Masoretic text is 1000 AD. You got all those scrolls they found in Qumran, that entire
Okay,
catalog.
so the Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay, so I thought that's what you might be referring to. Okay, so it's true that's about the time of when we see the Masoretic text in the state we have access to it. But remember, they were, you know, doing this from before then, right? Didn't just come around.
Well, see, I don't see this. This is my whole thing, vocab.
Yeah.
They weren't doing anything. We were. Now we got to find.
Well, when I say they, I just mean Hebrews. Writing. I'm not thinking in terms of color like you guys. I'm just thinking of Hebrews.
No, well, I'm not either. But we got to have a untainted, untampered catalog, but we can pass this word on to the people. That's all we saying about the entire scenario, because somebody had to put the word leprous in there. We didn't do it.
Well, no. See, that's something you'd have to demonstrate, right? Because you're assuming there.
We just demonstrated it.
No. That doesn't demonstrate it. It demonstrates what you said about it not being in the Septuagintal text is correct. You're correct about that.
Okay.
But that doesn't equal the Masoretes inserted the word. It could be that the Septuagint translators did not include the word, or there's a variant, and the question is which one's right. Variants aren't always intentional. So you're saying put it in there. Well, you can have a variant without intentionality because they make mistakes in copying. So it's a multi-step argument. You're right about this, but that doesn't equal that's the original reading, and it doesn't equal it was an intentional to add it.
So you think that something that's significant, which addresses something so meaningful to the people of that day, is just a variant deviation?
No,
because it's in other places.
That's not what I think. Places. If the Septuagint reads different than the Masoretic text, it is a variant. It's not that I think it's a variant. There's a variant between the two streams.
Older than the Masoretic text.
Huh?
It's older than the Masoretic text.
The Septuagint is still a translation, so it's true that the Septuagint most likely reflected an older Hebrew text, but that doesn't equal more accurate necessarily, and it also doesn't equal that they translated everything faithfully because it's a translation into a Greek tongue. So it is a translation. And the Masoretic text, I wouldn't discount it like the way you just did. When we compared the Masoretic text that we had when the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, there was variations, but they were not these significant, overwhelming variations. They really showed the stability and faithfulness of the scribes.
I'd like to sit down and talk with you about that, either in front of everybody about that, because I got a long list of things that was
So do you use the Septuagint in your liturgy? Do you not use Masoretic translations? Do you use translations of the Greek Septuagint when you worship?
Yeah.
What do you use exactly?
But we've went back. I went back through the Dead Sea Scrolls and nearly perfected the Old Testament in terms of it's quite simple because when you look at the manuscript, you see things that they've that have changed and they've actually removed from the Bible.
What do you mean you've perfected it?
You go back and you correct the deviations that they got in the scripture, and you say, okay, this makes sense. What they saying, it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. Like the thing in 1 Samuel chapter 1 where they removed that Samuel was a Nazarite. They actually removed that out of the Bible. Out of their version of the Masoretic text. You're familiar with what I'm talking about. 1 Samuel chapter 1, chapter 22.
The text of 1 Samuel is one of the more or less stable texts of the Old Testament. So there's a lot of variations in the text of 1 Samuel. Well, it's not really 1 Samuel. I'm saying 1 Samuel, but it's just Samuel in the Hebrew. The text of the book of Samuel, it's less stable than a lot of our other ones. So there's all kinds of variations. Well, hold on. If you believe in the Septuagint, do you believe in Psalm 151?
You mean that psalm that they found in they located? What do you mean?
The Greek Septuagint has an extra psalm. It's supposed to be a psalm about David killing Goliath. And Psalm 151, it's in the Septuagint. I don't think it's genuine. It's a nice little ditty, but I don't think it's genuine. I'm just curious what you would say about that. But So what Bible exactly do you use when you're reading in English? Do you use Brenton's LXX? What Septuagint do you use?
We use King James.
The King James Septuagint?
No, we use the King James English Bible. I got a bunch of different
wait, why would you
Bibles
use the King James English Bible? That's not based really upon that's based upon a small amount of Masoretic fragments in scrolls, but the King James is not really based upon the Septuagintal readings. Why do you use the King James version if you like the Septuagint?
A lot of the Old Testament is, though. A lot of the King James Old Testament is.
You're saying that the translators of the King James relied upon the Septuagint versus the Hebrew
texts?
No,
that's not what I'm saying. You just said that. I didn't
I'm
say
trying
that.
to understand you.
I said that the King James Old Testament is made up primarily of the Masoretic text.
Right, that's what I thought. So why would you use the King James Old Testament if you like the Septuagint and not the Masoretic text?
I didn't say I like the Septuagint. I said it's parts of the Septuagint that have accurate answers because it lines up with the Dead Sea Scrolls, which we believe are true.
I know, but you said the Masoretic text falls short compared to the Septuagint, so I'm just wondering why you would use it.
Because the Septuagint portions of the scripture that we use, it lines up with the Dead Sea Scrolls, what we call the Qumran catalog. And I'm sure you know that because you probably studied it.
Yeah, but you said you perfected it. Reading the Dead Sea Scrolls and the actual scrolls would take someone who knows how to read a certain era of Hebrew, and it's not even a printed text. You'd have to be able to read handwritten ancient manuscripts. That takes a level of expertise. Most Hebrew, even people proficient in Hebrew don't have that level of expertise to be able to read the actual manuscript from Qumran.
Well, who says that they was experts? Where did they get that from? Because we don't got things like theology school and stuff like that in scriptures.
But this is grammar. This isn't necessarily theology. I know what you're saying, but this has to do with...
I understand what you're saying, but who said that they had it perfected? Where do we get that from? It's just like they told us that we was African Americans and we actually Hebrew Israelites.
But I'm talking about the scholars involved with translating the Dead Sea Scrolls.
The scholars said that as well. That's what I'm telling you. We don't subscribe to what the scholars say. We subscribe to our teachers.
No.
And we went back and we
What I'm saying is, you said you had perfected the Old Testament from reading the Dead Sea Scrolls, and what I'm saying is that means you would have to have a level of expertise.
Let me rephrase
that would make you like a 1 in 100, 1 billion or something.
Now watch this, because this may be it's getting you a little antsy. We went back over the Old Testament. We found a lot of inaccuracies in certain portions of the New Testament and the Old Testament. And what we did, we went to the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it lined up with what the New Testament was saying. Do you understand what I'm saying now? And we went back and we compared what we read out of the Dead Sea Scrolls to the Masoretic text. It came to us by going over all these manuscripts that the Masoretic text was flawed because it caused the discrepancy. So we agree that there's certain parts of the Masoretic text that have discrepancies.
Okay, so on the screen is Targum Job from Qumran. This is from the 11th cave. See where it says 11.
I actually got that book.
Yeah, so just so everyone knows, where it says 11Q, that means the 11th cave at Qumran.
Cave 11.
Yeah.
Cave 11.
So here, this is Job, the Targum Job here, and we look at it. Are you saying you can read this?
That's
fragmented
right there, sir.
Huh?
That's fragmented.
I know that's what those little dots represent.
That's not even that's not complete Hebrew.
Brother, that's because the Dead Sea Scrolls aren't complete. Those little dots.
We got some complete scrolls.
Not everything in Qumran was complete, and in fact, these.
No,
well, let me talk.
We never said that.
Let's try not to talk at the same time if we can. Let me talk to the audience real quick if I could. Audience. Truth defenders. By the way, Bruce Metzger's dead, so that wouldn't work. But to the audience, see these little dots? Those are what scholars call lacuna or lacunae in the plural. Lacuna are literal discrepancies or holes in the text where something is actually directly missing from it, like it's not there. And so these are fragmentary because a lot of ancient scrolls are. So Yashaya, what I'm saying is, if you're saying you went through the Dead Sea Scrolls and then made corrections in the Masoretic text, you would have to be able to read this, not even on the printed page, but from the actual scroll. And they do have a lot of lacuna. So it is fragmentary. So how did you do that?
Well, I was trying to rephrase what I said so you can understand what I meant.
Okay.
When I was saying it, but you kept pushing the argument. Now, the first thing you should probably tell the people is these are not the scrolls in themselves. This is a translation.
These aren't translations. This is a digital reprint of what's on the scroll. It's not a translation.
A reprint. It's a reprint, right? These are not the scrolls. So I got copies of some of the scroll pictures that I acquired from a museum. Okay. They got the gashes, they got everything in there. That's not what was said. What we said was we went back to certain verses and we looked for certain words in Hebrew and certain meanings and understandings in Hebrew. And we found things that were removed from the Masoretic text that was in the ancient Dead Sea Scrolls. And we concluded that the Dead Sea Scrolls were correct and not the Masoretic text.
But the Dead Sea Scrolls don't even have the complete Bible.
We said certain verses, sir. Certain verses. Because we couldn't understand why you could read 1 Samuel chapter 1 English and it would point to, it has all the pointings to that Samuel was a Nazarite. And I kept questioning that, like, wow, this looks like it's saying he's a Nazarite. So then I get the Dead Sea Scrolls and we go back and look. And the word Nazarene is actually in the Dead Sea Scrolls, but it's not in the Masoretic text. So I said, oh, so this is what occurred right there. And actually, they got a Bible I'll call the Dead Sea Scroll Bible that actually also points that out. So we used a few more other ways that we did it too. People want to find out, they can tune in to our studies and figure out if that's what they want to, how they want to look at that and view it.
Okay.
It's a pretty good cross-examination though.
Yeah,
it wasn't like I was the only smart person in the world and they knew this real old Hebrew and nobody else in the world knew it. That's not what I was saying. I was saying we had a way that we studied it and it came and it made sense.
I guess it was the word perfected the phrase perfected the Old Testament, or perfected.
I tried to drag you away from that, but you kept pushing.
I guess that's what caught me though.
Nobody perfects anything until the Messiah comes back.
Okay, well, what else? I think we can agree on that. So what else do you want to discuss?
All right. Did you have any more questions, Yashia? Because I got one more.
Oh, go ahead and ask him.
All right. As far as what we say we are, vocab, right?
Yeah.
Israelites that believe the way we believe.
Wait, you broke up a little bit. You said, as far as we say what we are.
Okay. I said, as far as that we say who we are and how we presented ourselves, our belief, have you ran into any other Israelites that have the same belief system doctrine that we believe?
Probably not all in one group, but some of the separate things with different people, yes. So, for example,
I'm saying under the same umbrella. Everything that the video we sent you, what Yashia said, our belief, everything. Do you know any Israelite groups, community, or any other people that adhere to what we believe? Everything together, lumped together.
Everything together? I don't think so. Everything together, but some of the elements, for example, like the superiority of the Septuagint. There's a guy named Aaron who I dialogue with about the 400-year prophecy. He holds that view. People that are not with the bootlicking, for example, that's almost everybody. That's a minority of guys who are into that kind of thing. Things like that. So some things yes, some things no. Although it is interesting because you said you back Zion Lex, but he rejects the New Testament. So I don't know how you could back him.
He changed his opinion on that.
Yeah, but he's wrong. He rejects Jesus as the Messiah, you know?
He's changing his opinion on that. We've heard him say it.
He believes he existed now.
I did hear him make that change where he went from, he used to deny his existence. Now I believe he's existed. But when I've heard him speak about Jesus, he seems to have a view that we can't really know a lot about, sort of like details exactly type of thing.
But listen, vocab, when we said we back Zion and divine, we're not saying on their doctrine. They're, to me, they are the two forefronters in the Hebrew Israelite community, as far as on Sanetta's platform, your platform, and other Hebrew Israelite platforms. So and also Ron Dalton Jr. So we support those brothers, but at the same time, we know our doctrine is different from
Right.
both. So that's all. That's why I wanted to ask you, as far as what you heard that we believe. Do you believe we are different from any other Hebrew Israelites that you heard as a whole?
Under one roof, I have not heard anyone with an identical set of beliefs as your guys under one roof. No.
So now my follow-up thing would be, and I'm glad this is why I wanted to talk to you, and I'm glad you said this. So now I'm asking you with all due respect, when you do your shows, you make sure you separate, please, the Nazarene Hebrew Institute of Technology from everyone else.
Okay, but
Because
on
I
what
told you,
on what
I told
things?
you on the phone we were different.
Yeah, so on what things though? Because you don't disagree with everything. What are these key things?
No. We don't disagree with
Right.
everything, but at the same time, you do have a kind of ideal of what we believe. Yeah, of course, we do agree with some of the things Zion believes in, as well as Divine, and as well as Ron, and even some camps. At the end of the day.
Now, I like and respect Ron Shields. We go back and forth, but I've met him in person. I've even met some of his family. And, I even could say I enjoy him, and I hope to do more dialogues with him and, that kind of thing.
Nice guy.
I used to say something similar about Zion, but I feel like Zion is kind of unfair in how he handled some of our disagreements, frankly. I don't mind rough and tumble. I don't mind that. It's not that. He acts like that's that. It's other stuff that make me question issues of character, I guess I might say. And
I
then
don't know Zion personally, but I do know he can be. He actually reminds me of me. He's a lot younger than me, but he actually reminds how I used to be.
you used to like air horns a lot.
I had an aggressive attitude and a slick mouth.
I don't
trying
even
to back
mind
it
that.
up too.
I don't
But
take it personal.
at the same time, I feel like he feels like, and I don't know the brother to say this, but this is what I believe. He feels like if he's being attacked, he's going to definitely represent and speak his mind.
Which is fine. And I challenged him to a debate on two topics. I wanted to debate him on Is From Babylon to Timbuktu a scholarly book? That was the first debate I told him I would do. Or what is the true purpose of Deuteronomy 28? I told him, because he's written a book on that. So I'd be willing to debate. Now, I don't want to get you bogged down talking about Zion, because I know that's why you're here. But to me, I'd have trouble saying I back this guy when the guy doesn't even accept the Messiah prophesied and fulfilled. That's a big deal to me.
Well, I mean, there's things that he teach out the Torah that's truth. That's all I'm saying. If you're teaching the truth, if you are teaching the truth, vocab, if you're teaching the truth and it's truth, I have to support it. I can't say I disagree with it. So that's what I mean by I stand behind Zion. Now, of course, his doctrine of everything, he doesn't believe in the whole. I'll put it this way: he doesn't believe the Messiah is the Savior.
And then and the other thing is, I do feel like there's a preoccupation with mystical interpretation of the Hebrew scriptures that he has that I think is problematic. I know he likes it. And the funny thing is, that guy who you guys were, I think, maybe mentioned, I don't know if you're talking about Heiser or also Jacob. Him and Jacob actually agree. Yeah, Jacob. That's Jacob. Jacob actually is into that mystical stuff. So ironically enough, Jacob and Zion would agree on some of that. But then when it comes to Ron Shields, I mean, I asked him about the resurrection, and he said that he was agnostic on the issue of Jesus' resurrection. I was shocked by that answer about being agnostic.
Ron
Shields. Yeah.
He said
and again, I'm not trying to get you to, you don't have to say anything, because I'm just telling you my things that are like really big red flags. Even though I agree with you, they are overall, like, those are the best formidable guys. Now, Ron Dalton, I don't know. Did you see one of his recent posts where he posts that he says people are turning into cows in Africa for committing adultery? And he seems to think it's true. Look at his last Instagram post.
That. Where'd you see that at?
It's on his IG. And you know he moved to South Africa because he thinks that the Holy Land's in Africa.
Yeah, I talked to Ron a lot, but I haven't talked to him since he left.
Ask him where Israel is.
We want to make a note on that, because we're not saying that the Holy Land is in Africa, but we saying since Africa is such a man-made new terminology and understanding, that prior to the 1869 construction of the Suez Canal, all of that land was connected anyway.
I think he thinks it's in South Africa, though.
Well, actually, he was going to Ghana. He was going to West Africa, but he changed and went to South Africa. Because he was looking at homes over there in West Africa. Yeah.
And you know, a lot of times those guys, even if they do say they accept Jesus as Messiah, they kind of discount Paul.
Well,
I love Paul.
Divine Prospect says that Paul's writings are rabbinical opinion on pertaining to Gentiles, so it's not relevant to him. That's my understanding of his position.
That might be a new stance, because I'm gonna tell you how I met Divine.
Yeah.
I met Divine, and we were in a chat room on the phone debating Torah only people. That's how I met him and got to. I've never met him in person. That's how I met him, and I've been communicating. Now that's something different. Now this was 5 years ago, so he might have changed his stance. But we were going back to back with the Torah guys about Paul actually.
So you guys were debating Zion Lex?
Well, it wasn't Zion Lex.
I'm teasing.
No.
I don't want you to. I don't want to cause problems with you and those guys. So I don't want to make whatever else you want to talk about besides that.
Like I said, those two brothers are a pillar in our community, even though we don't agree on everything, and that's how it is in life. Even the camps, they're still our brothers, but we don't agree with a lot of stuff that they teach.
The guys in the camps are your brothers?
That don't mean we
brother. So, question about that.
Physically, they are. Physically,
so the Mexicans are your brothers physically?
Well, we don't go subscribe to certain ones.
I know. So the brothers in the camp aren't all your brothers physically, according to your reckoning. The Puerto Ricans, the Mexicans, the Cubans, the Dominicans, those aren't your brothers according to your...
Some of the Dominicans are...
I know, I figured you might say that, but you get my point. Some of the brothers in the camp aren't your brothers physically according to your reckoning. You reject them as Israelites. Maybe you guys are you guys racist against Hispanics?
No, I think spiritually is all that should matter to us anyway.
Right. It's a scripture that says all Israel is not Israel, though vocab.
Yeah, but it don't mean that. It's talking about circumcision of the heart.
That's exactly.
They have no circumcised, brother. You answered the question for us.
Right. If your heart's not right.
I know that, but I'm saying, do you think that Native Americans are your brothers in the flesh?
Some could be. Some of them got the maternal DNA.
Their haplogroup is Q. It's not E.
That's their haplogroup, but
not all of them.
Hold on.
Almost all of them, it's Q. We're talking 99%.
They
Some
got
are
an
C.
M2.
Some are C. The Inuit, the so-called Eskimos, they're C.
Those Cherokee people, they women folk, they traced their maternal DNA back to Northeast Africa where we were. So they got an M2 maternal marker.
Well, I'm just looking at paternal, but I got you. Okay, so what is something else you want to get out to the people, or that you want to pick a bone with me, or that you want to say to Hebrew Israelites, or you want to say to Christians, anything like that, to make sure that you're not missing anything?
Well, I got two things.
Okay.
First, in defense of my brother Zion Lex and Divine Prospect, you said that he didn't believe in the Messiah. Well, oftentimes people...
Jesus, Yeshua. He doesn't believe in Yeshua as the Messiah, is what I mean by that.
Right. As the Messiah, okay.
Right.
People grow up and they talk a certain way and they understand a certain way. Just like you got a lot of people that believe that Christmas is his birthday. Or you got people that believe you can pray over anything, even though the Bible says unclean and it's clean. we're not going to condemn them for that. That's a way that they believe. He will, if he studied long enough and the Holy Spirit touches his heart, he will know who the Messiah is. He will know that
Amen.
Yahweh is the Messiah.
Amen.
So we're not going to condemn him for that.
Air horn for that.
Secondly, is we want to find, because I've been doing a lot of researching a lot over the last 25 years. We just put out a teaching called Beyond the Rivers of Ethiopia, and it was one singular question that nobody has been able to expound on and explain, none of the scholars. In ancient times, not medieval times, like you got the pictures over in the Palace of Susa, you got the Sennacherib Hebrew captivity picture, you got all of the old paintings and things of that nature, the rock carvings. They depict the Israelites as a certain people. Those depictions do not physically resemble or point to modern day Jewry. Is there any artifacts or anything that you are aware of that will point that they've been in the ancient civilization depicted the way they look today? Or that there's any oral testimony over in Africa that they were one time over there prior to slavery? Because we know that they financed those slave ships and stuff. We know that, and we know that what would be the reason. But we're trying to say, physically and in a real sense, where were they? Who are they? Where did they come from? Because the ancient civilization is not counting them as the children of Israel.
Well, so two things about that.
Put something out there for us?
With the phrase "the rivers of Ethiopia," or sometimes translated, well, it's literally the rivers of Cush. I think we have a different understanding of that. You seem to be saying that would have to be Israelites. I believe that's just talking about people from the distant region, the most farthest people on earth that you could imagine far away. It's a way to say that all of them, there will be worshipers of Yahweh out of those people. It's not saying necessarily that these all are only Israelites. In fact, there's a lot of people who understand it that way as well. It seems like you're saying that it's saying these would have to be Israelites, but I think the better understanding of that is these are nations who have been converted to Yahweh worship. So I don't think it's relevant, the rivers of Cush argument. However, to answer your question further, I don't think that we could ever say that modern day Israelites look identical to ancient Israelites. But that's because of they've been through the diaspora.
What I'm saying is, and you familiar with genetics? I've heard you get at least a layman's understanding of genetics, having me sitting here talk to you, and hopefully, you know that you know how it works when you mix with melanated people. In most of the vast majority of the time, after over 1,000 years of mixing with pure Hamites, we're just looking for a testimony from somewhere in the ancient world that they are saying that the Jews resemble the people that they are today. That's all we're looking for, a testimony that they were over there.
The Iraqi Jews, yes. The Yemenite Jews, yes. Have you seen images of them?
Not the ones with the melanin.
But
not the ones with the melanin. We're talking about the Ashkenazim.
Here, so you and I both know modern day Jewry is not just Ashkenazim.
No, I know.
Okay, so I could tell you knew that, and the audience should know that too. The other second largest group, although the Ashkenazim appear to be the most numerous, Sephardim, I think, is the second most numerous. And then there's all these smaller groups. I've said for a while, my general understanding is the further away you went from Israel, the less you looked like Israel. And that's why I brought up the Jews from Iraq, the Yemenite Jews, and maybe the Persian Jews, for example. I think that's a much closer representation of what ancient Jews would look like, because they didn't go as far away from the place of their origin. The ones who went through Europe ended up looking like a European, and some of them are more European than they are Semitic. That's a fact. But that doesn't mean that within the population there's no Semitic DNA.
Okay, so I'm glad that you answered it like that, because I want you to get back with me after you study and research the Natufian findings by Dr. Dorothy Elizabeth Garrard. And I'm sure you're familiar with that.
As I've not studied the
oldest
Natufian findings. What do you believe it demonstrates?
Excuse me?
What do you believe the Natufian findings demonstrate?
Well, it shows you the people over in area, it proves their genetics, and it's not. They don't have the J haplogroup that those Jews over there today that they have. It's actually modern day Ghanaians, Nigerians, Cameroonians, and so I'm sure that you know that if you've studied it, and that's why I was giving
My
you the
understanding of
chance to,
Natufian is
research
I
it.
thought Natufian was southern Syria.
No, you're wrong about that. You just
Okay, then
hold on,
how do you spell what you're talking about?
NAU
TUFIAN, right?
TUFIAN.
Yeah.
Right. So look, what you're gonna do is wait a minute, because they made 2 advances since she made the discovery.
Okay.
You're going to go to the Department of Genetics at Harvard Medical School
Okay.
and Dr. Lasif Lazaridis. Then we have a biopaleoanthropologist called C. Loring Brace. They did the cranial studies and things of that nature. And you know that, like I know that Caucasian people, they are not, they don't have a protruding jawlines.
As a general phenotype.
Of course, you know that, right?
I mean,
Right, it's the
Caucasian's a
general phenotype.
misnomer. The Caucasus Mountains are not the origin of modern Europeans. That'd be like the Armenians.
No, I don't believe that for a second. So
I know, but the word Caucasian always makes me laugh because it's such a.
Well, I'm sorry if that was offensive.
No, I'm not.
I should use
no.
more.
I'm not offended. I'm just saying it's because it's so inaccurate. But so you're saying that Natufians have a protruding jawline and no J haplogroup, therefore what?
Who would be the ancient Israels?
You're saying the Natufians are the ancient Israelites?
You tell me. I want you to not answer it online. I want to research it so you can be versed in this.
So,
because there's a lot of lies.
Do you believe the Natufians are your ancestors?
That's what the doctor said. That's what the modern day biology says.
So Natufians,
they come from Ghana. They come from Cameroon.
So Natufians are the modern day,
and Natufian is
the ancestors for modern day Western Africans, or
what I'm saying is Natufian is not the name of those people. That's the name that they gave them. I'm saying that those skeletons they found over there in the caves, those are our ancestors. And it's a known fact because they did the DNA versus the DNA in West Africa.
Okay. And
the Congo has a 100.
So Natufians are ancient Israelites, you're saying?
Look it up. You tell me what you think when you research it. You got our number, my email. You just get back with me.
I know.
I believe that you're the type of person.
I know I can look it up, but I'm trying to understand what your argument or your when I say argument, I don't mean it in a pejorative way. I mean what you believe the line of reasoning.
My stance.
Yeah, what's your stance regarding it? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Why can we not find any ancient depictions, any ancient biological evidence of any nature with the Jews except the Behistun monuments? That is all we can find with anything that resembles them. And I'm trying to figure out if they were in Israel. If they were, I don't think anybody really believes that, but I mean, if they really were, we should be able to find some. What the people over there tell you, like that these the Jews or these the children of Israel? Nobody is saying that prior to the medieval times and slavery. Nobody. So I read the Khazar correspondence letters, both of them.
Oh, well,
I read both letters.
Let's talk about that. So you believe?
Well, no.
So have you read Arthur Kessler's book?
I read a lot of on the Khazars, and I'm not saying
so that's kind of the most.
Jews
that's like that's sometimes considered the definitive work by people who promote it. The 13th Tribe by Arthur Kessler. So
I read the one that comes before that, and
well,
I got a vast
he talks about
book.
the authors before him, but he tries to perfect the theory. So Arthur Kessler's argument is that he thinks he can show from this book that a majority of Ashkenazim descend from Khazars. That's what he thinks he can show, right? He even says, though, in that book, he cannot, even under his own theory, he cannot show that all. He says, I cannot say it, and he gives a reason why. I cannot show that all Ashkenazim descend from Khazars. He's saying, I think that what I can say is the majority, I think the majority do. But if you actually read the book, it has interesting stuff where he
Already.
does quote directly from the Khazar correspondence, but the book is filled with speculation, especially in the key area. There's a key area in which it has a major weakness, and this theory has a major weakness. It's the numbers. The numbers of Khazars who converted to Judaism. That's a major lapse in the theory about this Khazarian conversion theory, is we don't have accurate numbers about how many people did it. And it's a major stumbling block to the argument, because you have to have enough to then say these Khazars equal the ancestors of all Ashkenazim. But let's just say for a second, Kessler's right. Let's say the majority of Ashkenazim descend from Khazars. Let's just say that's right. That's not dealing with the rest of the Jews in the world.
Right. So I was trying to explain to you, because you published that entire theory, and that's not the theory that I have.
But why'd you say you read the Khazar correspondence then?
No, I read it. I noticed some of the Jews do come from them. I didn't say all of them or the majority, even the majority.
No, I know. I'm just focusing on the most prominent version of the theory. So you're saying some Ashkenazim descend from Khazars? Where do the rest come from?
They all over. It's the Oscars, the Franks. They spread out. I got a migration pattern, but the thing, what I'm trying to say is, it really don't bother me where they come from. I know that they don't come from ancient Israel. That's why I want you to connect them to ancient Israel. Okay. That's what we're looking for. We can't find it.
So here, let me, because I can tell this is an important point of discussion.
No, it's not really. It's just that I know that you will study.
Right, but we have a different theology on this issue. So let me briefly
summarize.
No,
I'm not looking for theology. I'm looking for some documentation.
But I'm looking for theology. Let me tell you why. Under the new covenant, my understanding, which is in line with traditional new covenant Christian understanding, so I'm not making this up or something, is that those who have the faith of Abraham are to be reckoned as the true sons and daughters of Abraham. If a person, regardless of the lineal descent, does not have the faith of Abraham, it doesn't really matter. So on a new covenant understanding, I don't go looking for the true children of Israel, because I know who the true children of Israel are. John 1 says, to all them who believe, he gave the right to be the sons of God. That's the true understanding of who really are God's children. So that's a big difference between a Christian and a Hebrew Israelite. Christians aren't going about scouring for the lost tribes, because they don't think it really matters under the new covenant, because the Messiah has already been produced. Since the Lion of the tribe of Judah has already come into this world 2,000 years ago and is coming back in Jesus' name, we don't go looking for, this lineage, this DNA. And that's why Titus 3:9 says, don't get caught up in endless genealogies. So we say, first of all who were physically of Israel weren't even Israel back then anyway. Second of all, since it's irrelevant, it doesn't matter about, look at this historical document, look at this. Now, I look at them because I talk with Hebrew Israelites, so I'm always curious and interested and want to learn more. But as far as theologically, it's irrelevant to your standing before God. And I know you're not saying only Israelites can be saved. I know you guys don't believe that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just talking about how important is it in the new covenant. My contention is that it's not relevant at all. It doesn't matter in ecclesiastical affairs. It doesn't matter in eschatology. It doesn't matter salvifically. It's utterly irrelevant, except for maybe some cultural practices that you might want to learn or do. You know what I mean? But as far as anything theologically, it doesn't really matter. So under the new covenant,
Okay, so we can discard the book of Revelations, then we can discard James, we can discard Galatians, where they speaking prominently about the Israelites. But I can say this, that's your position. You don't care because you know where you descend from.
Not really.
Now you got
no
us,
one really
the victims. Well, hold on. You got us, the victims of the transatlantic slave trade, that have been stripped of our culture, our identity, our history, our language, and our culture. And we've now, because of a unbroken chain of our ancestors still communicating to us that no, we're not Africans, we Hebrew Israelites, we came across our truth, and we want to gravitate to it. We know that we're the people of that book, and we want to immerse ourselves in it. We fully want to immerse ourselves.
Because you love Jesus. You don't need
to know
you're an Israelite to want to immerse yourself in that book.
We're commanded in the Torah to do it forever, though. Vocab, it says forever, it's not done away with. So we're the descendants. So
people got to understand.
But all Christians are commanded to study the word in season and out of season.
But we don't know what that's at in the Bible either, right there. But where it's all Christians, that's what that's
You
what
know
we may
the word
have our
Christians
slight
in the
difference.
Bible. Come on now. It's in there 3 or 4
I
times.
know
You
that's
know
what I'm
this.
saying. Yeah, but so what we're saying is, as Israelites, we got a very high standard, and culture is a big part of our standard.
Israelites?
So
Israelites high standard? Have you studied their history? It's filled with pagan worship and following after other gods and Tammuz in the
not this
temple.
community.
Israelites never had a high
not this
standard.
community.
God had a high standard, and Israelites failed. That's why we need Jesus, brother.
Well, listen, not this community. We have reintegrated ourselves to our Constitution, which is the Torah, and we love it. And we
Christ,
want to
no,
make
you're
them
to
proud.
be modeled in the image of Christ, not after the Torah.
Who is the walking, living Torah? He wrote and dictated the Torah. He's the mediator spoken of in Galatians 3, verse 19.
Yes, but if
you know that.
Yes, but the Bible literally says we're conformed to the image of Christ daily.
Right.
Not we're
The
conformed to
living
the image
Torah. I
of
agree with
Torah. The Bible
Right.
never says
You
conform
don't
to the image
understand
of
it.
Torah.
Torah, he says, Torah is the words or the teachings of God the Father, Yahweh the Father. You know that. It's not no group of
I'm not dissing the
man-made
Torah,
teachers or
brother.
anything
I'm
like
just
that.
I'm not dissing the Torah. What I'm just saying is, like, for example, Romans 8:29. For whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image
Right.
of his Son. So
Right.
our model is Jesus Christ. You know why? Because he perfectly exemplified Torah. No one else ever did. He exemplified the
That's
Spirit
our
and letter.
example.
In
That's
fact-
what we're saying.
In fact, he's the author. But I know, but Christ is better than mere Torah because he's living, breathing, and he provided what Torah alone could not, which is permanent atonement for sins. Right?
Absolutely.
But Torah had a temporary system. So Torah is inferior to the new covenant, Christ. It's not bad. It's just, it's a building block. And that's what Paul says. It's a tutor, right? So
But who's it a tutor for? Because we're Hebrews, we're not Gentiles.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine if you believe that, but you still know it's a tutor to bring you to Christ.
We know that, vocab.
I don't agree with that. I don't think you've definitively demonstrated that, but I'm not here to try to attack you on that.
No, well, what I want you to do is the people you probably believe are the Israelites, give us. That's what I asked you to research that and give us something.
If they don't accept Jesus, hey, bro, see, that's what I'm saying. You missed my contention. If they don't accept Jesus, they're not really Israelites because the Bible says that they're after their father, the devil. That's for anybody who rejects him. How do you become
absolutely.
So it's not about them. It's about Jesus, and you're either in him or out of him. You know, you're either in the first Adam or second Adam, right?
Now listen, let me say this before, because you've been real candid and a great host. But see, things like Jesus, that is what we're saying. What's wrong with his real name? See, we got little things that mean everything in the world to us that they don't mean the same thing to other people. His real name means everything to us, not the name that they gave him. Just like they called us African Americans and they knew we was Hebrew Israelites. I got the slave cargo manifest with all these Hebrew names on there. I want to fax you a copy of that so you can see it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I've seen some of
shock
those.
Even you.
I've seen some of those, but someone's name doesn't tell you their lineage. I mean, I've met a white guy named Jeremiah. Have you met a white guy named Jeremiah? No. You don't think he's an Israelite, do you?
Well, he could be, but Jeremiah ain't a Hebrew name. That's an English name.
No,
these are Hebrew names.
It has the Yah in there. Jeremiah Yah. That's what the name's from.
Many of them.
Huh?
You needed to read Dr. Wilson's book about his trip to Central Africa and see what he told you. I got a bunch of books I'm gonna send you too. It's prior to the 18th century. I think that's when that guy that was on your video, he tried to make a point that this was something that started with Cherry and those guys. This been going on much prior to that. But we'll send you the information and you'll set up another date and we'll discuss some more things.
Sure, but here's the thing. We understand. Anyone who knows the cultural context of the Bible knows that when his mom called him his name, when it was time for supper, she would have said Yeshua. We know that, but we also know that we speak English, And we know that the English translation of the Greek word Euseus is Jesus. That's why we're okay with saying it. But we don't tell anyone not to say Yeshua. Some Christians prefer Yeshua, but we're English speakers. That's it. We're not saying we know Mary didn't speak English. Right?
What I'm saying though, vocab, is he wasn't a Greek, so we shouldn't render his name in Greek.
Well, then you got a problem with the Bible. Well, hold on.
Huh?
This comes from a guy who told me the Septuagint is superior to the Masoretic text.
Because the Masoretic text was not written by us; it was written by the people that saying they Jews.
But
that's what I'm saying.
How can you bang on Greek when you think the Greek Bible's better than the Hebrew Bible?
Because the Septuagint was translated by Hebrew Israelites, real Hebrew Israelites.
I know, but it's Hebrews translated into a white man's tongue.
We have to, because y'all got to receive the gospel.
Okay, then let me call him Jesus.
The proper way to do it would be to... But we're not going to argue about a name. I'm just going to tell you what it means to our people. That's all.
Well, we know that, but we know that if in the New Testament, he's never called Yeshua, not even once. He's called Euseus.
Because the New Testament was translated by the King James translators. That would be the sons of Japheth, not the sons of Shem.
Right, but we have copies of the New Testament in Greek way prior to the King James Version, though. In Greek.
And they would translate, in Greek, the Greek manuscripts, they didn't use the thousands of Hebrew manuscripts that they got over in Jerusalem right now. Because the people that's over in Israel now, they said they're not interested in translating them because they don't believe he's the Messiah. Just like, other people that you are banging on, so you should probably bang on them as well.
I just said they're not true Israelites, brother. Isn't that enough for you? If they don't accept Jesus, according to the Bible, they're not true.
I'm speaking genetics now. I'm not speaking spiritual.
But I don't care about genetics. Genetics be damned. See, that's the thing you're missing. You're fixated on people's blood lineage. I'm fixated on the blood of Jesus.
Because in Revelations, he say, from each of those tribes of the children of Israel, and it's before he starts speaking about spiritual Israel, he going to gather 12,000.
Oh, so he's going to leave out Dan?
Dan ain't in there. Dan introduced
exactly.
the most image.
So, I guess Dan doesn't matter?
Dan got kicked out in Judges 18.
I guess lineage doesn't matter then. You could be in Dan and not make it in.
That's because what Dan did. Dan did something vicious.
I know, the idolatry. But see, I bring that up as a foil to the argument that it's about blood lineage when Dan is literally removed. Dan is not in that list. IJS.
But guess what? We'll be removed too if we turn to idol worshiping and anything else.
That's a cautionary tale. We agree on that.
Hey, vocab.
Yes, sir.
Even a person that says that they believe, if you go back to idolatry or any of that foolishness, they gonna be removed. So we got a lot of things in common.
Well, you guys want to give a final shout out or a final exhortation or anything like that before? Because I know you guys got to prepare for Sabbath. Anything final you want to say, and then we'll. I might drop a freestyle.
I'll go first, Yachi.
Nate, do I do a freestyle? And also, audience, where's my super chats for my freestyle? But go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank you, Vocab, for bringing me on here. My perception from you, I humbly apologize. I don't think you are what I thought you were. I really have to humbly apologize to you for that. Again, I would ask that you, at least when you know that what we believe, you separate us from the rest. I noticed people in the chat was calling us satanic and all this stuff, but I guess they didn't hear.
Someone said that, I'll block them.
I don't know, somebody in there, but they didn't hear from the beginning what we believe. So I'll say it real quick. We do believe all people can get saved. We do believe that we are the descendants of the biblical Hebrew Israelites, which is our duty to keep the commandments, statutes, and laws. We love everybody. We don't hate nobody. And like I said, we do agree that everyone can get saved. And if you're keeping the commandments, statutes, and laws, you're my brother. So I yield with that. Yashia.
Appreciate that.
It's not that we believe, it's that we know. It's that we also have the people that called us Satan. Satan don't proclaim Yahweh She as the Savior, as the Messiah. Satan does not believe that he died for your sins. According to the scriptures, he was buried, and according to the scriptures, he rose the third day. It's not nobody on the planet Earth that believes that more than me. Okay, we believe in John 10:30. We believe in John 14:16. In fact, we believe the entirety of the scriptures. So it's not we're not your enemy. You believe that. That's our salvational belief. And you, my brother, if you got that, with at least spirit, I just want my flesh, my genetic brothers to wake up and let's all get on the same page with things. We need to start having sit-ins. Vocal, you've been a wonderful host, man, and thank you. And we look forward to probably you coming in on our show, because in 2 weeks we're getting ready to go over teaching about what Paul said to the Hebrews, and we'll figure it out. And it's open for any cross-examination, any questions.
Okay.
It's probably going to be a lot different than what mainstream Christianity teaches about Paul.
All right.
But
Well,
that
let me
still
know.
won't cause you to not be a brother.
Okay. Well, let me know, and appreciate you guys having a good spirit, vibe, maybe even a little bit of a sense of humor and congeniality. I appreciate that, and I hope people can learn and be edified from the conversation. And I hope you guys have a beautiful Sabbath rest. And thank you for your patience in getting this set up, because I know we had some problems, but thank you for being patient and understanding. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, brother.
All right, God bless you all.
All right,
I'm
be
gonna
blessed, man.
I'm gonna
All right.
I'm gonna talk to audience, and I'm gonna click out of here. So let me hit that outro, and you guys have a beautiful day.
All right, you too.
All right, brother.
All right.
Shalom.
Yes, indeed. I appreciate everything, and I think we had a good build. And y'all, you down to do just a little bit of a freestyle here? Let me see. Let me get rid of this real quick here. Get rid of this. Anybody see the new Obi-Wan? Anybody see that? Just curious. By the way, guys, I haven't made an announcement for it yet, but actually in about an hour, I got to check the time. I think it's about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I hope it's not quicker than that. I'm not ready. I'm going to actually have a dialogue with another brother. I don't know him as well. I haven't talked to him as much as Barawak, but I'm going to have him on, and he has some questions he wants to ask me about. So I hope it goes as good as this, because I think we had a informative time. And I do hope I mean what I said. I hope that those guys do have a good Sabbath. And with that, can I play a Soko beat? Can I play a Soko beat and rap over a Soko beat? Could I? Could I do that? Let's do that. Let's do it. Play a Soko beat. Do a freestyle, y'all. Wait, what's going on? Oh, I see what's going on. Hold on, let me fix it. There's two beats going at once. All right, here we go. Vocab freestyle. I don't even know if they paid me enough to do one, because you guys know the rules. But guys, while I'm doing this, can you explain everyone the rules of how this is supposed to work? We have fun, but honestly, it's just a fun way to try to help support what we're doing here. Here we go. Yeah. Right. So go. Yeah. Here we. Like that. It's nice, ain't it? All right. It is. Yeah. Got that laid back vibe. Vocab Malone with a streeter. With the street Man, you know what? I'm gonna start from fresh. My brain ain't working. Got that vibe. Vocab Malone, the SA vibe. We all the way live, rocking with the tribe. Hello, how you doing? You know I arrived a little bit late. I gained some weight, then I lost some more. I ate too late. A snack and a sandwich, maybe a sandwich. Listen, do damage. Satan, I managed to make him have a bandage over his wounds. Turn up the volume. I consume the spaghetti. Vocab Malone, I blow up, party like confetti. I'ma let the microphone be like machete. Swishing, swiping. Here we come again, hello, I got the mic stand by the nightstand. Rocking for the white man, and the black man, and the brown man, yellow man, hello. Got that tan, Listen, y'all, we ain't got no band. It's the NPC, the 60. It's in the beat. We in the street. It's neat, unique. Now I freak it daily. Hello, how you doing? The super chat pay me. Dragons, they slay me. Other way around. Yes, yes, y'all spit the verb in the noun. Style profound, so deep it's down. Like a submarine, but under the ground. Underground with the Timberland and the black hoodie. What's up? Now we go to Sam Goody, purchase the disc, and then I rip. You know we do it, so don't set trip. It's not no red or blue on the avenue. It's UAU. Yes, we coming through. Mic check 1 2 with the ill residue. Hello, how you do? Mike, we in the cipher, in the middle of the circle. Making whack cats look like some Urkel. Color purple, color that we beat them. Yes, y'all see the sheep, then we feed them, delete them. Like Control Alt Delete. Yes, yes, y'all, you will taste defeat like a dude with a fetish for the toenail. Yes, yes, y'all, I got the email. Order the book, I send it snail mail, media mail, and now I inhale the oxygen. I'm rocking again. I'm not wearing a moccasin, but the Adidas. Love Jesus Christ when I rock this mic. Where's the beans and the rice made fresh by Manny's grandma? Hottie ha ha, having a ball like a player's ball when the ATL. Yes, yes, y'all, not Chino, but I excel. Let's do one more. Somebody was hating, said it was corny. We gotta block them. You can't be saying it's corny. That hurts my feelings. Don't you know? Just can't handle it. All right, here we go. Soko on the beat. We bring this. Don't sing this. Kiss the ring fist. In the hit list. Now we on the scene. The beats are clean like some Listerine. Or your jeans in the washing machine. Rip this mic, but no obscene words observed when I'm spitting on the curb. Look at the nerd, he's a blurb. Yes, yes, now I speak to the herd. Hello, how you doing? Don't care what you heard. Don't be Amber Heard, cause that's whack. Vocab Malone, you know that I rap. From here to 21, Jump Street. The Soko beat and it bumps nicely. It's the fire, says J Fry. You know who I serve is Adonai. Yes, yes, well, what's up, Jonathan L? We rock the mic, we ring the bell like LL Cool J. Don't be a fool today. What's up, Bobby Smitty on the highway? Built for speed, he got the need for speeds like Maverick. Ha, I watch, don't read. The movie moves me, the mic's so groovy. You can't be losing, you know we soothing, you know we cruising like in the 6th tray. Back in the day, what you say, Yahweh? Who I love, cause that's the one who made us and sent his son. Like I said, he had to make. Shout out to D-New, shout out to Nate. He's the maker, creator, cut on the fader. Yes, yes, y'all, there's no one greater. What's up, Ben Mac? I see you chillin'. Yes, okay, now who's the villain to the children? BXVIS. I see you deliver like UPS. Okay, rapping till I go to heaven. I see you in the live chat, Revelator 7. Who else am I missing? Ben Mac, I'm not dissing you. I hope you're a Christian. If you are, I'm not wishing. Mr. O Israel, he says I'm corny. The beat is hot. I must warn the haters in the chat. They get kinda slapped. I got the black cat, a Kangal's fat. Yes, yes, y'all, he's from the mid-90s. Y'all cats too slow, you behind me. Spank it behind me like my dad with a belt. Oh shoot, now it left a welt. The mic was hot, but then I melt. Hey, how you doing? Strap on your seatbelt with the roller coaster. Blow up like a Nova. Here we go, we got to explode the microphone like it was a car bomb. Ring the alarms, rock on and on. The day that celebrates moms, they say is pagan, but that's not true. I think they hatin'. What's up, Tarlis Taylor? What's up, Rev Bray? You know he major. What's up, Jasper Fitzsimmons? The beat is liquid, so I'm swimming. I'm winning. Hey, yo, to the men and women. Yes, yes, yo, we spit venom again like a Marvel character, maybe a hero. I'm Italian, call me De Niro. I know Cheerio, not an Englishman, but here we go. We got that flow in your stereo. We rock it on and on till we're done. This is the end. Shout out to the friend. Turn it up to 10. And we spit it again. All right, y'all. It's been a great show. Shout out to Marlon Wise for the super chat today. Appreciate that, brother. Subside, how you doing? What's up? Who else I missed? Kim McCracken. Can't forget the rest of the mod squad. Rock B, even if I don't see her. We got that transforming sound in the building. Who else we got? We only got 30 seconds left to try to find anybody else. I don't know. What's up, Karen Wise? How you doing in the building? What's up, my man Lauren Stroman? What's up? Shout out to the brother with the name of Hebrew. Hey, Silas, how you doing? Shout out. Much love to the live chat, everybody coming through. Of course, the moderators, the best in the business. You know we got love. And of course, today's guests who came on. Much love to those gentlemen. I pray they do have a blessed Sabbath. And y'all, let's jam out because the show is now over.